I, Krystal Crowley,
I, Krystal Crowley, take you, Mickey Lyles,
to be my husband,
to be my husband,
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
for better or for worse.
At this moment, on this day, Krystal Lyles is happy. She's just married her one true love, and like the fairy tales say, from now on, it's happily ever after.
Unfortunately, anytime somebody gets married, you don't get an instruction book. And if you're not mature enough to use the Bible as your instruction book, you're just out there. And so we made a mess of it pretty quick. At one point, we started struggling, being completely disconnected with each other. And I found that he was in an extramarital relationship.
The couple divorced, and Krystal says her heart grew cold and bitter.
I felt like I had given our marriage everything I had. And when I decided that I had had enough, I just flipped that switch, and that was it.
Obviously, I hurt her in the worst way possible, and I broke that trust. And so now that bitterness that she created through that broken trust, it showed through.
You know, when we would drop the kids off and he would leave crying, I didn't feel anything about that. I was like, really hate that.
I remember being in a corner, balled up in a fetal position, just crying uncontrollably, you know, wanting to repair what I had damaged, just wanting to be in my kids' presence, wanting to be in my wife's presence, you know, but that wasn't an option.
You know, there are consequences to certain actions, and it's not like this is new. And so, yeah, I didn't feel my heartstrings pull whenever he would show emotion.
Bitterness became Krystal's armor. In her effort not to feel pain, she couldn't feel anything. Eventually, the armor became her prison.
I was justified in the way I felt. You know, everybody, I could ask anybody, and they were like, yeah, she's got a reason to feel that way. You know, that just fired me up even more. You know, yeah, I do have a reason.
You get hard because you get tired of getting hurt, and you think that's the only way to protect yourself.
I ran across her teaching just flipping through the TV channels, doing what I had to do, regardless of how I felt, was one thing that she really taught me. You don't always feel like it. I didn't feel like praying for him. I didn't feel like being nice, and I certainly didn't feel like forgiving him. But as I did those things, God used that to just mature me a little more and a little more and a little more, so it made it a little easier each time.
Krystal forgave Mickey, overcame bitterness, and began experiencing the beauty in her life again. Then one day, God put it on her heart to reconcile their marriage.
I felt like I wrestled with God all day in my spirit. And I mean, this went from about 11 in the morning to about 11 at night, all day. Cried, I laid in my room and I cried. I'm like, why do I feel so unsettled about this? What will my family think? What will my friends think? We are divorced. It's not like we just had a bad fight. We are divorced. He pays me child support. We are completely done. I felt him say, you have been praying for me to show you what I have for your life. I had Jeremiah 29:11 plastered everywhere, at work, in my car, refrigerator at home. He said, you know, you trust that I have a plan for you. You've been asking me to reveal that plan. I'm revealing it to you. Aren't you going to go with it?
I really started seeking God for myself, not to impress Krystal, not to appease my mother, not for my children's sake, but for my sake. And as I started seeking him, he started giving me peace that whether you get Krystal back or not, you need me to be happy. And so that independent seeking of him for my own personal relationship was the turning of the tides.
I was praying during that time, you know, God, please just send me a Christian man. I want a man that leads me to church. I don't want a man that I have to drag to church, kicking and screaming while he sits in the pew and practices his golf swing. You know, I want a guy that's really there. And I was trusting God for that. And God answered my prayer. He gave me a Christian guy, but I never expected him to give me a Christian Mickey, you know.
The couple's remarried, and today realizes that happily ever after isn't always the goal. Sometimes peace comes after the storm, but with Christ you can endure the challenges of becoming one and experience wholeness together.
God's plan is always perfect. You know, why we can't lay down and just trust it every day? It's difficult, but it's so worth it. You know, it's so worth it.